Hello everybody, welcome back to Allan Walls Photography. This is Alan and I am outdoors on the most glorious Saturday morning of the year. No doubt, the temperature has dropped a little bit, sunny and gorgeous. And today I want to talk to you about last year's version of the GoPro, the Hero 8 Black. Yeah, what's an old dude doing with a Hero 8 Black, you might ask? And I shall answer in due course. So for any of you guys that have kept up with my videos, you may recall that about a year ago I did a review, wasn't really a review, of the Hero 7 Black. It was really just a poorly disguised rant. Because yeah, it was a terrible camera, terrible experience. I think I had a bad one. It just kept overheating and then shutting down for no apparent reason. So I have a theory, and my theory is that buying a GoPro is almost exactly the same as having a baby. Now I've had to extrapolate because I've never actually had a baby myself, but I've delivered one and have seen many being delivered. So that's my theory. And the idea is that you buy one, have a terrible experience with it, and then somehow forget the bad experience and wish you had another GoPro. That's why I bought this one. As you can probably tell, I'm not a snowboarding, surfing type. I'm not even planning on testing whether or not this thing is waterproof. I'm going to keep it on dry land. But I have only 2 reasons to have a GoPro. Well, 3 reasons if you include just having fun with it. But the 2 things I needed, or I thought I needed a GoPro for, were a second video camera to use in the studio, especially when I was working in the light cage and I wanted to be able to show you guys an up-close different angle than the primary angle with the camera. So for that use case, I didn't need it to have good sound, which is good because it doesn't. All I needed was a good, clear, sharp picture. And for that, this is fantastic. It works really well. But I'll be the first to admit that you could have used virtually any camera, and it wouldn't need to be an action camera or anything like it. Any camera you could use to set up as a second camera for macro. So let's move on to the main reason I got it then, was for this kind of video. When I wanted to be out and about and mobile and not have to carry a big DSLR like that. Well, not have to carry that and point it at myself. I wanted something that had good enough audio to use in my videos, as well as a good enough picture to use in the videos, and a couple of the other features that this has, I thought would come in handy. So let me walk you through what this camera has, what it does, and how I have found ways to use it. The GoPro Hero 8 Black is an action camera. It's also a stills camera, 12 megapixel digital camera, that actually takes some pretty cool pictures, and it even has a built-in HDR processor, which is nice. So the video camera is pretty amazing. It shoots up to 4K at 60 frames per second. To be honest, most of the time I use it at 1080p, which is the way I shoot my videos normally on my camera. So I normally have it 1080p at 30 frames per second, but today I'm actually shooting at 2.7K at 60 frames per second. As you would expect, it has a touch screen. The touch screen doesn't always work. If my fingers are cold, It doesn't always pick up. It has voice control that has not been calibrated to a regular voice like mine, and it does not understand anything I say. One of the really cool features about it as a video camera is that it has like 4 separate electronic lenses that you can set. There's the super wide 16 millimeter lens that causes so much wide angle distortion. I really don't like the look of it. Everything's very round. And if you don't like the super wide, which I don't, there's also a wide angle lens, which I think is like 16 to 35 millimeters. And very nice. Of course, the range of focal lengths there is because you can zoom this camera digitally. The next lens is the linear lens, which is a distortion-free lens that I use most of the time when I'm shooting with this thing indoors for videos. And it has a narrow, which is a fixed 27 millimeter lens. Which is great for close-up stuff. If I'm using this thing in the macro cage, I almost always use it in that narrow mode. It has probably the best image stabilization that I've ever seen, but it has a weird thing that it does when you're walking. You know, I could, well, theoretically, I could go up a mountain and snowboard down to the bottom and it would be smooth as silk. But when you're walking, it does give this kind of rolling weirdness in the background. Not really sure. I probably have some setting incorrect. That's usually what it is with stuff like this. This is such a beautiful place. I discovered just the other day that Jimmy Buffett lives here. Who would have guessed it? Probably Mrs. Buffett would have guessed it. Anyway, where was I? In addition to the lenses, then it has this incredible hyper smooth too. The hyper smooth really is a big deal. I think it's just a fantastic image stabilization for almost anything. You can really appreciate it when you're using the camera in your car. And driving on uneven and bumpy roads, it just really smooths it out. Which brings me to the next feature that is not something that I use in my professional work, but I do love to play with, and that is the time-lapse modes that the camera has. It has 3 of them. One is just your basic time lapse, and you can set it to take pictures at the interval you want, and it'll just keep clicking away pictures until it runs out of batteries. Remind me to get back to batteries in a minute, because it runs out of them pretty fast. But there's also a mode called night lapse, which might not sound much different from time lapse, but it really is, because you can set the camera up in such a way that it can do a time-lapse series in changing low light. As it goes through the series of photographs, it adjusts the sensor's sensitivity so that it really keeps everything looking incredibly balanced. I've only used it a couple of times, and only for fun to see what it would do, but I am definitely going to find ways to use that in a video at some point. But the time-lapse feature that I really enjoy the most is the time warp. What it does is it takes your series of still images, your time-lapse images, and then blends them together really seamlessly into a movie type format. And I just love this thing. I think it is really cool for stuff like this. It certainly is another gadget that's fantastic to have. Another really cool feature, it has fantastic 8x slow motion, which looks great. Uses up a lot of battery though. It has built-in face, blink and smile recognition, which is not a problem for me. I seldom blink and I never smile, so the camera just ignores me there too. But it's really neat the way it works, and quite special. There's a thing called the GoPro app that it uses the thing's Wi-Fi or Bluetooth to connect you to your phone, and with the app you've got things like automatic horizon control. I have a thing about phone apps, you know, using a piece of equipment that requires that you have a telephone turned on to do it. I hate it so much. I just don't take advantage of those. But one of these days I'm going to hook it up and give it a try. Oh, gee, excuse me. Oh dear, I should really pay attention. A lot of the sand has been washed away in the hurricane, and I just stepped in a hole. Another amazing thing that you can do with this camera, if you have it hooked up to the GoPro app on your phone, is you can actually live stream 1080p video directly onto whatever platform you use. That is pretty amazing. It sounds like it will be technically way over my head, but I think I'll give it a try. I mean, I'd love to see if it really works like that. There was one other feature that I forgot to mention when I was talking about the basic functionality. It's something really cool and a little bit confusing. It has this thing called burst mode, which when I first read it, I thought it meant under certain conditions the whole thing would just burst, but no, it's not what it means. It means that you can shoot like a 3-second clip of 4K video with the touch of a button. So I imagine if your life is a little more exciting than mine, and you wanted to capture some of these 3-second moments of high excitement, that would be great for that. It also has in burst mode that when you take a still photograph, and this is what's confusing to me, it takes 90 photographs. It's like 1.5 minutes of, no, 1.5 seconds of video before and after your shot. Now the question I have is, how does it know? How does it know I'm getting ready to take a shot so that it can start filming before I take the shot? Now this is a fairly troubling concept, that if it knows 1.5 seconds before I do that I'm going to take a photograph. So what I did was I wrapped my head entirely in tinfoil and grounded myself, and then tried using the burst feature, and it still knew 1.5 seconds before my shot what I was doing. So you figure it out. You tell me, is it black magic? So as far as that goes, it's an incredibly fun toy. It does a lot of cool things. But what about the specific use case that I bought it for using as a vlogging camera? Well, the first thing that I was aware of even before I made the decision to buy it was that I wouldn't be using the built-in microphones. Now, they say that they now have three what they describe as hi-fi quality microphones in the GoPro itself. But honestly, the sound is just terrible. It's really tinny, and I don't like it at all. So I knew right up front that I was going to have to buy this thing called the Media Mod. Well, there were two options I had. I could have bought a separate cage from one of the third-party sellers that would allow me to attach a microphone. Then I'd need to get that $50 adapter that you have to make a microphone work. And come to think of it, I think you have to have the Media Mod even to do that, because you need a 3.5 jack, which the Media Mod has. So when I bought the thing, I already figured in the fact that I would be using the Media Mod. Now, the Media Mod is an $80 plastic thing that the GoPro fits inside. And it has, as you can see here, a mini shotgun microphone that has a forward and a backward microphone that I think in the default setting they're both switched on to give you good stereo. But if you're working around wind, as I expected to be doing today, though there isn't any, you can set it up to record from either the front or the back microphone. I'm recording here from the front microphone, but I've tested them at length, and honestly, all three of the settings sound pretty good. Certainly, streets ahead of the native mics that are built in. Now, if that was all I had to say about the Media Mod, then this would be a really strong recommendation for you to consider this thing. But I got to be honest about this. This is the third Media Mod I've had with this camera. The first one I had suddenly stopped being recognized by the camera. The GoPro did not recognize its own Media Mod. And I replaced it, and the second one, within a couple of days, did the same thing. This is the third Media Mod, and as far as I can tell, it's still working. I won't know until I download this video and find out if there's any audio on it. So that's problematic, and it's especially problematic when it goes up in smoke during a video, especially if you spend a lot of time recording something and you have to start all over because your sound cuts out halfway through. Now, other people have had issues with the Media Mod as well. It's not just me. There's a lot of chatter about it online. So it's definitely worth considering. Now, because I use this as a vlogging camera, there was one other feature that I really, really wanted, because none of my cameras have this feature, and that is a flippy up screen. What it is a small color LCD screen that attaches to the Media Mod, and you flip it up so you have a screen above the Media Mod. And I really wanted that feature so that I could frame my shots in videos and wouldn't be guessing like I am now. So when I bought the camera, I bought that flippy up screen, and it was fairly expensive. It was $80 plus tax. And for 5 months, I never received it. I ordered it from a big New York camera company, B&H, and every month they would send me a note saying the thing was still on back order. And I finally gave up on it this week and canceled the order, because I'm not sure whether these screens actually exist. I've never seen one. I've never seen one in real life. So maybe they do, maybe they don't, but I've figured out approximately where to hold this thing to use it for my needs. And that's just what I'll have to do. So if having a flip-up screen is absolutely critical to your use of this thing, think long and hard before buying one, because as far as I can tell, you'll probably never get it. So another gripe that I have that is so gripey, I would call it a hyper gripe, speaking in GoPro language, is that when you're using the GoPro Media Mod with the Hero Black 8, and you decide you need to change your batteries because they just went dead again, as mine just did, so I'm on my third battery in this video, you have to take the camera off your selfie stick or whatever you're carrying it on. You have to take the media mod off. You have to replace the battery and then put everything back together. And that's just a crappy design. I mean, really it is. They ought to have come up with some kind of way that you can just, open one door while it's still on the stick and change out the battery. But because the feet that you attach to your selfie stick are actually they're attached to the GoPro, so you have to close those feet if you're going to get to the battery compartment. Did I just confuse you about that? The point is, if you're using the media mod, you can't change a battery without going to all of these shenanigans to do so. And it's not like they're trying to protect its waterproofness or anything, because it's not waterproof with the media mod on. The media mod's not waterproof either. So I'm not sure I can make a lot of sense of the battery issue, to be honest. They're listed as 1220 milliamp hours, which should be enough to give these things longer life. I guess it's just they churn through a lot of power when you have all of the features turned on. But that's it as far as the negative things go, and some of them, may not even apply to you. But to balance that out, there are a couple of things about the media mod that are worth a mention. It includes a 3.5 millimeter jack, and it appears to have built in the microphone adapter, the $50 thing that I could never get for the 7 because they were constantly on back order. In addition to the 3.5 millimeter jack, it also has a USB-C jack and a mini HDMI. Let's talk for just a minute about the cost. Like I said earlier, I was really anticipating that the cost of this device would come down significantly when the 9 Black was released. But it doesn't appear to have done so. The price is still $350 for the Hero 8 Black. Now, you can save $50 by signing up for the GoPro app, which costs $60 a year if you pay monthly, or $50 a year if you pay all at once. So it's kind of a wash, but you get the GoPro app. And the GoPro app, I don't have it. I'm not even sure if you'd call it an app. I have the GoPro app. It's the GoPro, their secret club. Not sure what it's called. It used to be called GoPro Plus, I believe. But that is something that if I had paid more attention to what it was, I probably would have got it, because they include no questions asked, return your GoPro and swap it out for a new one for any problems that you have while you're a member of GoPro Plus. What else do they give you? They give you unlimited cloud storage, which is really pretty cool if you store video in the cloud. I don't, but I probably would if I had that app. And the third thing is you get 50% off on clamps and mounts and accessories. Unfortunately, that 50% off doesn't count for any of the accessories you're likely to buy. It doesn't include things like the media mod, the flippy up screen, which doesn't exist anyway, the light mod, and I'm sure there are other things that are not included. But talking about accessories does remind me of one hyper irritating thing. I guess I've used hyper, one super irritating thing, and that is that the Hero 7 Black came with 2 mounts and 2 sticky-on pads and something else. I can't remember. 2 thumb screws. But the Hero 8 Black only comes with one of the standard flat mounts and 1 thumb screw, which is pretty cheap of them for a $350 camera, if you ask me, which they didn't, by the way, so that's probably why. So let's get back to prices. The 8 Black costs $350. If you buy that subscription I was telling you about, you can get it for $300. But the real deal is with the Hero 9, because if you buy a 1-year subscription to the GoPro Plus thing, when you buy your $450 9 Black, they'll give you $100 off. So you can actually get the 9 Black for the same price. But let me put the price of the Hero 8 Black in a little bit of context. If you are planning to use it as a vlogging platform like I do, you're going to have to buy, let me see, a media mod, because otherwise you'll have to buy a separate microphone and the adapter to go with it, which would cost you about the same. So that's $80. You're going to need at least 2 extra batteries. So if you buy the charger, which costs $50, it comes with 1 battery. The camera comes with 1 battery, so you could get away with buying just 1 additional battery, which is right around $20. If you're going to be using this thing to vlog in the evenings or indoors, you will probably need some kind of a light. And the media mod light, the light mod it's called, is just a small LED device that fits on the cold shoe of the media mod, and that costs $40. If you go with the Lume Cube, which I would not recommend, that'll cost you $90. If you get this one with the 32 gig card, you'll be okay for little bits of video, but I would strongly recommend getting a couple of 128 gig cards, which is what I use, and you can get them for $24 a piece. But if you include the flippy screen price, because I bought it and paid for it, the actual price of a GoPro Hero 8, if you're going to use it as a vlogging camera, is about $774. That is a lot of money for an action camera. In retrospect, having spent, almost $800, I realized there are a lot of other solutions that might have been better. Bigger battery, longer battery life, built-in flip-up screen, built-in mounts for microphones, built-in microphone jack, instead of having to buy all of this stuff. And by the way, GoPro does this a lot, but if you decide to get the Hero 9, you have to buy everything over again, because nothing is going to fit the Hero 9. They've changed the size of it, so you have to get a new media mod. They've changed the battery size, so you have to start all over again with your batteries and with your chargers. So yeah, that's another matter. We won't go there. As far as it goes, for what I use it for, I love this camera. I really do. I think the problems that I had with the 7 are gone. I have never had this heat up, and I've used it for extended periods of time. For the features that I don't use, I'm really glad I've got them, because I think one day when I have some time, I will experiment with using them, and that's cool to know. Would I recommend it at $750? $650, or say $680 without the non-existent flippy uppy screen. Yeah, I'd have to know what the alternative was, but that is really getting to be steep, I think, for a vlogging camera. I mean, there's things like the Canon, what is it, M50? Nikon makes a small camera that would be great for vlogging. I'm glad I bought mine. If I bought another one, it would be painful. It really would, because I think that they're too expensive. But I'm not sure that there's anything that does what these things do. So at the end of the day, I'd probably hyper gripe about it and then go buy another one anyway. So that is my rather lukewarm recommendation. Be careful as far as if you're planning on having a media mod and a flippy up screen, you know, just I'd check that they have them before you place an order. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you as always to my Patreon supporters and the folks that have been kind enough to donate through the website. My internet, my power, my water, everything is back functioning at home, which is nice. So hopefully the production pace will pick up again. I am almost out of batteries, but I'm going to see if I can squeeze a little bit more hyperlapse out of this thing as I drive to run a couple of errands. Thanks for watching. Coming up very soon is the penultimate lighting for photography video. We're going to be talking about flash in all its glory, and then yeah, special projects on the way after that as well. So take care, be safe, and I will talk to you again soon. I hope you're having as pretty a day where you are as I am here. Take care. Bye-bye.